Hey, did you know that I had a podcast? That's right, the Geekdom 101 podcast over on geekdom101.libsyn.com. They're basically long form episodes I put out every couple weeks where we talk about everything involving nerd culture, movies, video games, TV shows, music, everything under the sun, nostalgia and new stuff. We've had shows on Tarantino movies, the MCU, Disney films, everything you could possibly think of, and interviews with some really great creators and really important people that I think you would love. Check out the Geekdom 101 podcast. It is on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and Google Play. Geekdom101.libsyn.com. I promise you'll have a blast listening to the podcast. If you have a long commute or if you're at work or at the gym, the shows are over an hour, pretty much all of them, so you'll have a great time, I hope, listening to the show. I think you will. And thanks. Check it out. Once again, geekdom101.libsyn.com. Don't you worry, guys, this is not a dream. Super Jay's back and he's on with me. Oh. We're talking about Broly. It's the perfect time to record with Jay. Talk Dragon Ball's back on Christmas Day. Oh. Who knows what we will say? It's been a year since the release, and now we will give our thoughts on the movie. Boom, 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 ba-choo, boom, boom. Break the ice, break the ice, break the ice now. Yeah, so that's for those of you who have been with me for 5 years, almost 5 years, you know what this is about. You know that when I started my YouTube career, one of the first things we did on this channel was a podcast called Talk Dragon Ball, myself and Super Jay. And now it's been literally years since Jay has been on my channel, but it's Christmas 2019 and Santa Claus has delivered the gift that keeps on giving. That is the return of Talk Dragon Ball here on Geekdom 101. And a very special day. I'm really hyped because if you're new to my channel, you might not know what this is unless you go through my old archives, but Super Jan and I started. Jay was the first person I ever met when I first got into Dragon Ball YouTubing, right? And he was the first guy I collabed with, first person I got to know, but he's been gone. He deleted his channel, his old one. He pretty much left YouTube, just did his own thing in his life, and I just kept moving on with YouTube. Well, now, December 25th, 2019, Jay has returned. Welcome back, bro.
It's great to be back. Thank you. Love your singing, as always. I will say that I didn't recognize the song, but it sounded like a Christmas song of some sort. Normally, I'm good at guessing the song you're parodying or singing. Couldn't guess what that was.
It's Broly. It's Blizzard from Broly, dude. How could you not? How could you not recognize that song?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
I even said break the ice, break the ice, break the ice. I even said that. That's the most recognizable part of that song.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, I love the lyrics, love the effort. It was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I look forward to talking about Broly. It's great to be back. I've been on like the longest YouTube hiatus probably ever, I think. So
yeah, well, back in the day, I have a lot of nostalgia right now because we're talking here, recording for the first time in a while. Dude, I have so much nostalgia. Like, you were around doing those, doing your content. You did the weekly. You were doing the weekly news videos every Monday with the wacky intros, every Sunday, Monday, and then you were doing I think that the dub reviews were great when you were breaking down all the dub changes. I miss those days, and of course, there's Dragon Ball Super reviews and all that. I really miss those days. I feel like 2015, back then when we all kind of first started, it seemed like it was more innocent back then. Now, it's more dramatic. I feel it's more anxiety driven doing Dragon Ball on YouTube.
Yeah, it's one of those shows. Everyone's really passionate about it. Everyone's got an opinion about it. So yeah, it kind of got a bit much for me, and I wanted to focus on my personal life and my actual career. So I took a long break. I released a video, I can't remember how long ago now, I think like 14, 15 months ago. But yeah, like I just don't have the passion to do YouTube anymore. And saying that, though, I still love talking about the show. So it's great to be back and have an opportunity to talk about the Broly movie because, yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. So I really can't wait to elaborate on that movie.
Well, that's gonna be the main topic of this show, and that is, 1 year ago, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie came out in Japan, and in January of 2019, it came out, in the United States, and also the UK got it, Australia got it, of course, and then as time went by, like China and India actually got it after a while. So Dragon Ball Super came and went, and I feel like when you and I first started, it was right as Super was coming out. It was actually before Super got announced, because I remember when Super got announced, we did Talk Dragon Ball with Expert Games. People were like, "Did you ever collab with Expert Games?" I did on that Talk Dragon Ball. Yeah, we talked about Super, and it's crazy because the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F Dragon Ball Super arcs, looking back on them, are such garbage, if you ask me. Like, there's a couple of improvements here and there, but they're literally a waste of time, and I haven't had any inspiration to go back and watch them. So Dragon Ball Super came and went. The Goku Black arc I felt like was fun while it was airing, but it had a bad ending. And the Tournament of Power was, as you would say, somewhat predictable. I would say in a way, somewhat predictable, somewhat depending on what we're talking about. But Dragon Ball Super Broly, I actually never got to ask you this. What did you think when that crazy day, when we first saw that poster and it was Dragon Ball Super Broly and Toriyama made that comment about, like, what was going through your head? Because I was in disbelief.
Yeah, a really similar thought to a lot of people. I think, are they trolling us? Are they just catering to fanboys of Broly? Rolled my eyes when I saw the poster. It's early to prejudge things, but yeah, when the movie actually got closer and closer and the more details they released about it, I got more hyped for it, and to the point where January rolled around in Australia, I was actually super pumped to see the movie. No pun intended there. And yeah, I was just really, really excited. But I did think that when I saw like the first sneak peek trailer where Goku's kind of jumping around, exercising in the snow, getting ready to fight, and you just see like that shady figure standing on the mountaintop. It was too vague at that point to really know what was going on. But when they actually announced Broly, I was kind of, I was shocked. I was in disbelief. I didn't know if I was going to like it or not. But the more information they released about it, like it was going to be a new take on Broly, like a reboot of it, where you don't ignore the old one so much, but you forget he's nothing to do with Super, and you're just focusing on this new reboot of Broly. Then I became more accepting of it. Because they did do a good job with the character in the movie.
It's a different Broly. I mean, it's a different Broly altogether. There's the only similarities with this Broly and the Dragon Ball Z Broly is they kind of somewhat look alike, but not really. They both have similar final forms. Legendary, Super Saiyan. Then you have the full power Broly, which people have been calling it like Ikari. That is not the name of that form. Y'all got to stop saying that. I don't know who said that. Even though I do know that the Dokkan cards give it a different name. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I know someone in the comment section right now is losing their mind. I know it has a different name. I forgot what it was, but
Ikari is purely for the Trunks form.
That's right. Ikari's the Trunks form, but there's similarities in aesthetics, but other than that, and both of their dads are Paragus. Other than that, there's like no similarities at all. It's like a different backstory. His demeanor is different. He was exiled, but he wasn't exiled in the same way that the original Broly was. Now, I wanted to ask you actually about that first. So this movie, right? I've watched this movie like, I don't know, a bunch of times. I watched it about 10 times earlier this year. I went to the LA premiere, saw it in Japanese, English, and Spanish, and then I didn't watch it for a long time. Then I started watching it again. I watched it one more time in October. I had a friend of mine come over to my house to watch UFC. He had never seen Broly, so we watched it, and that was the first time that I had seen it in a while. I wanted to actually ask you about the Dragon Ball Minus stuff because, I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball Minus at all. I like the original Bardock story better, but I do feel like the execution of it in the movie I felt was fine. My only thing is, looking back on it, I feel like they really cut a lot of stuff out. Like it felt very like when you're watching that whole first part of the movie, right? On Planet Vegeta, it feels like there's deleted scenes there, probably in Toriyama's original script, that were cut out because things move at a very awkward pace, and there's cuts between like the Paragus story, the King Vegeta story, and the Bardock story that I felt, and Frieza, that I felt were very disjointed. And even though the animation looked good, like it looked good, the voice acting was good, it sounded good, the editing, man, I just felt like there was something missing from that.
Yeah, I feel like the first portion of the movie, it felt rushed. It just felt like it moved too quickly, and there was stuff missing. I've never been a fan of Dragon Ball Minus like most people, because the original vision back in the TV special of like the Saiyan homeworld and the way they live and their culture, it seems so much more representative of what they should be like, and it fits in with the original Dragon Ball Z manga and the TV show so much more than this interpretation of what Bardock and the Saiyan homeworld look like. So I feel personally that the representation of the way that they lived and their culture was off. It didn't fit with the whole, they didn't feel like Saiyans to me. It felt so different. And
they were too nice, right? Like Bardock was only King Vegeta was the prick, you know?
Yeah, I enjoyed the scene where you see King Cold come down with his army, and basically
the Ginyu Force, all those little Easter eggs,
all that. Yeah, it was a giant. It was a giant, basically, Easter egg to the fans. It was really cool. I enjoyed it. And then when he hands his army over to Frieza, basically, and says, "This is who you'll be working for now," I enjoyed that. But that was about the only part of that opening scene that I actually enjoyed. Honestly, the movie for me didn't really personally, I didn't really enjoy it until we get to the present day.
Right.
I do think though that the scene that was the strongest in that opening act is probably the same scene a lot of people really enjoyed, was when Frieza blew Planet Vegeta up, and you see the
scouter,
the battle powers or power levels, on the scouter kind of wither out, and then you hear that dramatic kind of score or music.
What do you think about the music in the movie? Actually, now that we mention it.
Yeah, I thought the music it was okay. Sumitomo is never gonna be as good as the original composer, but I do think that he had okay moments in the movie. I wasn't really a fan of like the whole parts that were just repeating Broly, Gogeta while they were fighting.
I wasn't at first, but it grew on me. I kind of love it.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it, but yeah, there's parts of the score that are okay. Overall, for the music in the movie, I would say that it's forgettable. Honestly, I watched the movie and I remember the music when I watched the movie, but it doesn't have the same effect on you that Dragon Ball or Z or even GT does, because you remember songs from those scores, or pieces of music, I should say, from those scores, when you're not even watching the show, and you don't get that out of those movies. Maybe there's a couple of tracks from Battle of Gods that I remember, but Resurrection of F and this movie, Dragon Ball Super Broly, the score for me, I would say, was decent, but it was also forgettable at the same time.
Yeah, I think it was Sumitomo's best. I agree with you in that compared to Kikuchi, I still prefer Kikuchi, but I think it was Sumitomo's best. It was better than Resurrection F, way better. It was better than most of Super, I would say, even though I love the Goku Black music. I love it. And actually, Battle of Gods had a really good soundtrack, too. But I prefer, I'm with you in that. It was not as good as the old stuff. Yeah,
he did have some good tracks in the Tournament of Power as well. Like, he wrote some original pieces of music for the Tournament of Power, and I felt that some of those were pretty good. I like the slow down version of the Tournament of Power opening. Exactly.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah,
when Goku and Vegeta kind of have that slow walk towards Jiren, like that was pretty memorable music. And I didn't mind the original version of the song that was played when Goku was in Ultra Instinct. That was pretty cool. I felt that in the dub they just didn't need to repeat that in Japanese, but that's repeat that in English.
The dub version of that song is horrible.
Yeah, but that's a completely different topic.
Yeah, but it was terrible. I know it's a different topic, but back to Dragon Ball Super Broly, it's funny because when that second trailer came out, right? So here's a funny story that I never told. I got my hands on that trailer about 8 hours before it went live. A buddy of mine inside the company got me the trailer in English and Japanese, and I got to see it. And I had a private showing with some of my friends. It was me and like MJ, and we had a private little I showed them the trailer because nobody had seen this. Not Japan, not America, nobody had. It was scheduled to go live that night, And I remember I even posted on Kanzenchu. I was like, trailer 2 is going to have this, and this, right? And I literally outlined exactly what was in that trailer. I remember when we first watched that second trailer, which is the best trailer, by the way. That's the one, for those who don't know, the second Dragon Ball Super Broly trailer is the one that's in the past, where it focuses on Bardock and Frieza, like, just on that. That's the best trailer. It has the best music. It has the best, like, backstory. And, you know, it opens up with that dun-dun, dun-dun, and it shows, like, the Ginyu Force flying in. I remember seeing it for the first time. Remember, we had no idea they were going to show, like, King Cold and the Ginyu Force and Raditz and Zarbon. We had no clue. And then when I'm watching it with MJ, he's like, whoa! Like, we're over here, like, fanboying out because we weren't expecting to see these legacy characters in this movie, even though it was a flashback. And I remember posting on Kanzenchu straight up, like, giving them exactly what was in that trailer. King Cold's in this trailer. Nuh-uh. How do you know? All this shit, right? And then, boom, guess what happens? A few hours later, the trailer leaks. And I'm like, oh, shit. What the fuck happened here? I'm not the one who leaked it. Some guy in Japan leaked it. If you remember, some dude from Toei fucked up, and when he put it on YouTube, he published it instead of scheduling it. This was like madness. And so a low quality version of that trailer had come out. Now I had the high quality version, but I couldn't tell anybody I did. So when I did my trailer reaction, I had to use the low quality one, even though I already had the high quality one. So I basically had to, like, because I didn't want anybody to know I had the trailer. It was like a secret. Now it doesn't matter. It's been a year. It doesn't matter anymore. But it was just funny because people, I don't want to go into like a rant or anything, but people had the audacity on that same message board to question my credibility, which is why I don't post there anymore, because I can't stand a lot of those people. There's some good people there too, but a lot of them are just slime balls. And yet I'm sitting there like delivering nothing but like quality scoops one after another, including the entire outline for that trailer, because to me it was the best trailer, bro. Like, just seeing, and then the way Chris Ayres delivered it, hello monkeys, like, God bless Chris Ayres, dude. And we've talked about this, you and I, bro, because you're a big Kai fan. That's another thing about Jay that, for those of you who don't know, Jay's a big Kai fan. Chris Ayres, do you think that he was the MVP of that movie? Because I do.
Yeah, I do, especially considering he was not 100% health-wise during the movie. I still, like, Danny got me into the subbed version, for those of you that don't know, like the original dub, 3 years ago, and I do prefer that. That's my favorite way to watch the show now. But yeah, Kai is my favorite English dub. And Chris Ayres is, yeah, he is easily probably the MVP of that movie, based on the fact that he delivered the same quality performance that he always gives in Kai, in Resurrection of F, and he's not 100% health-wise.
Right.
You've got to take your hat off to him. He didn't have the biggest part in the movie compared to Goku, Vegeta, or Broly, but that's fine. He was in the movie enough for what he needed to do. And yeah, the line delivery he gave, you didn't even know he was sick. And that was astounding. In terms of the trailer, definitely think that trailer was the best.
Very emotional.
Trailers that they released. Yeah. In terms of the marketing that got me the most hyped, obviously being a giant Vegeta fan, when they released the artwork for Super Saiyan God Vegeta, like
for the first time in anime.
Yeah, that got me really hyped, because I felt like, in the manga he's had it for a long time. By that point, he'd had it in the manga for well over a year. So that was something that got me really hyped, that we were finally going to see that in anime form, and that's probably what got me more hyped for the movie than anything, because it was something we hadn't seen before in anime form.
Well, we're going to talk about that here in a second, but I wanted to ask you, when it comes to, like, we're going to, just to get past the whole flashback thing, like, do you think, but I wanted to ask you, do you think it was necessary to tell that story in this movie? Because I personally feel like I know why they did it, because the whole point of that backstory was to tell this story of Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, like those three characters, and how they were both little kids born around the same time, not exactly, but close enough to not decades apart, and they were on that planet, and how and one thing I did love about the way the movie was structured, this is actually good stuff, is I love how it was the story of Goku and his dad and his mom, of course. It was the first time we ever saw Guinea anime. Vegeta and his dad, and Broly and his dad, and how their fathers sort of shaped how they would become. And I'm not a fan of Minus, but I really love the way that was executed. That was actually really good poetic storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. I do enjoy that dynamic. I liked seeing Nappa and Raditz in their younger versions.
Fan service. It was fan service, but yeah,
it was great, and it kind of explains why Raditz is the way he is in some ways for a small part, because he spent his childhood, doing jobs with Vegeta and Nappa, so it explains why he's more akin to Vegeta rather than being like Goku. I enjoyed that aspect of the movie. In terms of being necessary, it probably wasn't, but then when you actually have Frieza later in the movie watching Broly do battle and interacting with Broly, it almost feels a little bit necessary. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for Frieza to just show up with Broly. I mean, you could just say, Frieza went along, found Broly on some barren planet, took him to Earth to get, revenge because Paragus explained the story. But I do feel like it adds a little bit more weight to Frieza being there if he's involved at the start of the movie.
Yeah. Now, what did you think about sort of the pre-fight stuff, like them finding Broly on the Vampa, Chi-Lai? Like, what did you think about those characters and how that was? Because it really did feel like Star Wars. Like, it felt like classic, 70s and 80s Star Wars, like very sci-fi sort of space opera. Toriyama even said it was space opera, and it really felt like that. What did you think?
Well, I love Star Wars. Like I said to you yesterday privately, I'm a casual Star Wars fan, but I still really enjoy the series. So naturally, anything that kind of goes in that direction, even Dragon Ball, I'm going to like it. I prefer or really enjoy storytelling when they introduce new planets. I really enjoy that. So when they bring a new planet into the equation, it kind of makes that little line from Kaioshin where he says that there's only 21 planets left in the universe.
That we call BS on that, bro.
Yeah. Like, it kind of makes that seem a little bit stupid, little bit more stupid. But I do enjoy seeing new planets. The whole introduction to Broly as an adult on that planet, it was probably a really good way to introduce him as an adult, because it shows you what the hardships that him and Paragus have endured for all those years, and it adds a bit of weight to his character for the reason that he is the way he is. He's kind of barbaric, and I felt his outfit was great, like that kind of barbaric looking outfit. I preferred that outfit that he had on Planet Vampa to the Saiyan, like the modern Saiyan armor he had, or the Frieza. Sorry, I shouldn't say Saiyan armor, the Frieza army armor that he had when he. Yeah, I preferred like that kind of look he had when he was first introduced, that kind of barbaric look, because that suits his character so much. And that kind of upbringing on a planet like that, it kind of explains exactly why he is the way he is. He's kind of shy. He doesn't really talk a lot.
He's got. What do you think about Ba and the whole ear thing? Like that was interesting. It was different.
It was interesting. You've got to make Broly seem sympathetic in some way, and I guess that's why they did that. He's sympathetic towards his dad, even though his dad is a prick to him. But that's because that's his dad. But yeah, you've got to add a sympathetic side to Broly, and I guess that kind of that's what develops that side of his character and makes him seem like somewhat redeemable and not just a screaming buffoon like he kind of was in the original. So yeah, I honestly enjoyed all that stuff on Planet Vampa.
So you think that this Broly is an improvement?
100%. I said, I was nervous going into the movie, but the more of the marketing material they released, you started to kind of get a bit more confident that they were going to do the character a little bit, more justice and make him an actual interesting character. Like if we are to see Broly return in future content, which I'm sure we will, I would not have a problem with that, because I felt like he's not the greatest written character by any means. Like Jiren's not the greatest written character, but I wouldn't mind seeing Broly return. I don't have a problem with that. And I definitely think that he is 110% better than the original, 3 interpretations of Broly we've got in those Dragon Ball Z movies, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think, like, some people who are just giant fans of those original movies and prefer that version of Broly, like the screaming, no personality, absolute psychopath Broly. If you prefer that version of Broly, that's fine. But I definitely think in terms of a written character, he's an improvement. Yes.
So let's get to the good stuff. So one thing that hit me about this movie, because you've been very critical about Dragon Ball's sort of formulaic writing, and what I mean by that is, you know, it's the Goku show in a lot of ways. It's the Goku and Vegeta show, but, you know, Vegeta's always second place. Vegeta goes in and he loses, then Goku gets the win. It's been a constant thing. But what I liked about Broly, the movie, is that Vegeta won that fight. Vegeta versus Broly, Takahashi's animation, incredible. Love that fight. Vegeta won that fight. When he went God and he pounded Broly into the water, he was the winner. And then Goku steps in and Goku actually ends up getting his ass kicked. Goku got fucked up. So it's when you watch the movie, Vegeta, you know, because you're thinking, when I'm watching the movie, I mean, I already saw the spoilers, but, you know, you would think, right, you know, Vegeta's going to go in and lose, Goku's going to do better. But no, Vegeta does better than Goku. In fact, Vegeta doesn't even at any point in the movie look dumb. He's actually looking way better than Goku throughout the whole movie. And then, you know, Goku steps in, then they go do Gogeta. So what did you think about the fact that with this movie, they changed it up and Vegeta was not just the job boy. He was actually the kind of the smarter guy.
I have an interesting point on this. I don't think it was bad. I enjoyed it. The fight scene in the movie with Vegeta versus Broly was wonderfully animated. How Vegeta just keeps going up a step every time Broly, you know, starts gaining on him. He just pulls ahead a little bit further.
Right.
The kind of the whole dynamic of Frieza watching Vegeta fight, I found that interesting because he can actually see how far Vegeta has come. Even though he would have seen that a little bit in Resurrection of Earth and the Tournament of Power, he's actually seeing how far Vegeta's developed, that he has, you know, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue. He knows that he's got all these forms. I found that dynamic interesting. The whole line where Paragus says that about the legendary Super Saiyan, that was very interesting as well. I thought, he's like, oh, I thought that was a myth. I found that very interesting because Frieza once thought that as well, somewhat, but at the same time he feared it.
And I love how Frieza's like, oh, they've been in a bunch of fights since, you know they fought a whole bunch of times. Yeah, they have.
Exactly.
So especially that scene where Goku does the God Bind and they quickly show all the other villains they fought. I thought that was masterfully done too.
That was great. But my point will stand on the fact that I enjoyed the Vegeta fight, but I still feel like they do Vegeta a little bit of injustice because my friends raised some really good points when we came out of the movie. They said, don't you think they made Vegeta, they kind of sold Vegeta a little bit short in some ways because Goku, yes, he gets beaten badly. He fights a stronger version of Broly because Broly is consistently gaining on Vegeta to the point where Vegeta would have had to go blue and probably still would have lost just like Goku did. Goku starts fighting Broly in his base form and then in his Super Saiyan form, and he seems to be doing better against a stronger version of Broly. That's where I have a bit of a problem. Yes, he does get beaten badly, but I feel like it doesn't make sense at the point of the movie where you've got this version of Broly that is able to push a Super Saiyan God Vegeta back, and then Goku just goes Super Saiyan and is seemingly going toe-to-toe with that same version of Broly. That made no sense in a power scaling sense. I'm sure someone like Seth the programmer might be able to explain it, but to me, that made no sense whatsoever. So that's my biggest gripe with that portion of the movie. But in terms of the art, the animation...
Ryo Nishi, bro. What'd you think about the first-person shooter spot where you're inside Broly's head and he's chasing Goku? That was some really creative stuff, in my opinion.
It was interesting. I certainly still prefer the third person kind of where you can see the character. It was. I'm not going to knock them for trying new things, though. Absolutely. But yeah, I felt there was some weak points in some of the animation where they obviously like everyone loves hand drawn animation, but we all know that they can't.
Oh, the CGI scenes with Goku and Vegeta, they look weird.
Exactly. Yeah, they can't do. Yeah, to save money, they cut costs. Those parts of the movies to me always look shonky. They don't look as good. But in terms of like the overall, I'm not complaining. Overall, it's like a solid 8 or 9 out of 10 with the Vegeta to Goku fighting Broly. All that stuff is like a solid 9 out of 10 for me. I like the new introduction of where Goku, you know, uses that ability to lock Broly in place with the
God Bind. Yes.
Yeah, that was great. I enjoyed that. The whole flashback where the villains pan across the page. It reminded me of the end of the Tournament of Power where I think it was Piccolo and Muten Roshi were doing the same thing. That I really enjoy that sort of stuff. So all that portion of the movie I enjoyed, but that one gripe with the power scaling I felt was off there.
Well, I mean, Broly just kept getting stronger and stronger, so I see why you would say that. It was, you know, people were saying, well, he's in his base form. Well, I mean, he's an animal. Now, how did you feel? Go ahead.
Sorry. It's just the fact that Goku was fighting him in his Super Saiyan form, and he was able to go toe to toe with him for a little bit before he started losing, whereas Vegeta was getting pushed back in his God form.
But once Broly snapped, it was, you know, it was a done deal, man. He smashed him.
Didn't make sense.
So, what did you think about the way that Paragus got killed by Frieza and tricked Broly into transforming and all that? I thought that was pretty clever as well.
I thought it was really comedic. I enjoyed it. The delivery in both dubs by Ryusei Nakao and Chris Ayres was great. Like it,
right?
It really, you really get that Frieza's kind of making a joke of the situation just to kind of see how far he can push Broly.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he regrets his decision almost immediately when Broly starts aggroing on Frieza. That was hilarious when Goku and Vegeta kind of trick Broly into attacking Frieza. That was hilarious. But yeah, I thought that part was probably, it made the most sense to have Broly snap that way. I feel like the only way they could have maybe done it differently was if one of Broly's stray blasts actually did kill Paragus.
Right.
That would kind of add a bit more emotional weight to the scene. But in saying that, I don't mind the comedic element of that scene either. I think either way would have been fine to make Broly transform eventually.
Well, okay, let's talk about Gogeta then. So, you know, Gogeta. Komodo Lloyd had talked to some data miners, rather he data mined himself, and they found out that Gogeta was in Xenoverse. Was it Xenoverse 2 DLC Pack 4? I think it was. I don't remember. 8. I think it was 8.
Yeah, I believe so. I could be wrong.
No, and then what happened was when that came out publicly, I spoke to like 3 different people, and they all confirmed Gogeta was in the movie. And I broke the story. I mean, I said straight up, Gogeta's in this movie. 3 months before it came out. Then the trailer came out. And actually, it wasn't just that. Also, one of the animators, shortly after I broke it, said, yeah, I was working on Gogeta. People, oh, no. It's there. And then what happened was, you know, Gogeta is in it, that trailer came out, the last one, trailer 5, with Gogeta in it. And then we have Gogeta versus Broly. Now, what do you think about Toriyama taking this character of Gogeta, which has always been theoretically a possible character? We saw it in Dragon Ball Z Movie 12 and in GT, but never by the pen of Toriyama. And now we have Gogeta becoming a force in the main story.
I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, Gogeta has always been a possibility. Even if you take Broly's Dragon Ball Super Broly out of the equation, even if you take I'll use the dub name, the Fusion Reborn movie, even if you use those 2 pieces of material, you remove them, the fusion's still a possibility, because even by the main timeline, main story, whatever you want to call it, if Goten and Trunks can do it, by extension, anyone of equal power and stature can do it. So Goku and Vegeta have always been able to create this being. They've just never done it visually, and like in the main story.
Without other than the movie or GT, yeah.
Yeah, like I haven't had a problem with that. I honestly haven't, and if it's always been a possibility. So when people some people got upset, some people like, oh, whatever. I saw it 2 ways. I saw it as an opportunity to improve the character or make him better, which I don't feel they did. I still thought that they made him look really cool. He looked awesome, and he fought like in such a cool way. I think everyone enjoys that part of the movie, but they didn't make the character better. But he's always been a possibility. There's not much you can do with Gogeta. It's a fusion of Goku and Vegeta. He's always going to act and behave and fight in a similar way. So I felt like he was there. He did exactly what I thought he was going to do. I actually thought that, and we'll get to this later anyway, but I actually thought he would kill Broly or finish Broly. I was surprised that they didn't do that with the movie, but I understand why. Yeah, I thought that the interpretation of it was fine. It was serviceable. It was fan service, but it was in the movie. I feel like it fit because they had to do it. Otherwise, Broly would have massacred Goku and Vegeta. So it made sense to me.
I mean, yeah, he was just too strong. They had little Easter eggs, like they cracked the dimensional fabric, which was a great scene. The god himself, Naotoshi Shida, did the animation for that, and brother Takahashi had become my favorite, and Shida just took the crown right back in that scene, dude. He is a phenomenal talent, you know, going all the way back to his early work on Dragon Ball back in the day. He is a phenomenal talent. You know, yeah, Broly survives, and we see the Stardust Breaker, which was kind of cool, and the Cosmic Kamehameha, which would have killed Broly straight up dead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was gonna kill him, and then Broly survives. Obviously, they're saving him for the future. They're not done with this character by any means. I refuse to believe otherwise. But your overall thoughts on the movie now and your reflections on it 1 year later. It's a fun movie. I still feel like I'm gonna say this. People don't like when I say this, but this is how I feel. I do think that Dragon Ball Super Broly is the best looking Dragon Ball product we've ever had as far as animation goes. It's the best looking, even though I loved some of the old animation too. It's very polished for this as far as how the way they did it. I feel like it's probably one of the better Dragon Ball movies of all the 20 of them, right? I still think Battle of Gods was more emotional, but I think the reason why is because it had been so long since we had new Dragon Ball that, that dry spell kind of ended. But also, Battle of Gods had the entire cast. It was like a reunion special. It had the great scene with Gohan and Videl when they find out she's pregnant. Like, there's so many emotional scenes when they first formed God, the reveal of the 12 universes. I feel like Battle of Gods, I still think, even though Broly has better fights and looks better, I still think Battle of Gods was more emotionally satisfying for me. I'm just talking about me, and it's just my opinion. If you like Broly more, that's great. I still think Battle of Gods edges it out. But also, I know a lot of that has to do with more so how I felt about it as a hardcore fan than just from the technical perspective. Even though I think Broly is a better character. I'm sorry, Beerus is a better character than Broly so far. That could always change, especially at the time. I still feel like Dragon Ball Super Broly, to me, is in my top 5 Dragon Ball movies of all time. Like, it's right up there with, World's Strongest and all the other ones that I like. So, how do you feel about the movie 1 year? Does it hold up for you 1 year later? And where would you rank it?
Okay, well, it does hold up. I think the product overall is a very consistent and strong package, like the movie. In terms of story, I kind of categorize the most 3 recent movies this way. Battle of Gods is the best story and world building for Dragon Ball. Resurrection of F took what Battle of Gods was lacking and put more action into the movie, but lacked story.
It lacked everything else, honestly. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Resurrection of F had like the classic Dragon Ball Z fight scenes and story, and that's what it felt like at times.
Right.
Broly, I feel like, is a neat package that has all of that put together. It still progresses the world building a little bit, not much, but a little bit.
Right.
But it's really consistently animated. It has better fight scenes, in my opinion, than Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F put together. Like, the fight scenes were next level. And the comedy, I felt, was stronger than both the previous 2 movies. So even though Battle of Gods has the best story building and progression, the comedy in Dragon Ball Super Broly was fantastic. Like, there was so many scenes with Beerus, with Bra. There was the whole like scene where Vegeta shoots down Frieza's men's ship out of the sky, and then Goku's sitting on top breathing.
Right.
On the ship. Like, the comedy was just great.
And it wasn't overdone. Sorry, go ahead.
No, exactly. Yeah, the banter between like Gogeta and Frieza, and even Whis, like dodging all of Broly's attacks and kind of laughing. There was some really great comedic moments in the movie, and Battle of Gods has a few of those, but nowhere near as many. So I feel like as an overall package, Broly is better than the previous 2 movies as an overall package. In terms of story, Battle of Gods, in terms of action, Resurrection of F was better than Battle of Gods for just action and nothing else.
Right, for fights.
But this takes all of that and puts it into one neat package. So overall, as an overall package, because you have to judge the whole movie, this would be my favorite based on all 3 categories. Yes.
Okay, where would you rank it among the older Dragon Ball films, like the Z films and the old, even Path to Power? That's a tough one.
Everyone, a lot of the classic fans that I've spoken to, prefer, like, they love the first movie and the second Z movie. First 2 Z movies they love.
I love those too.
Yeah, like I just feel like
we're talking about you though. What do you like?
Yeah, they don't expand the universe that much. They do a little bit, but not much. I feel like the first movie, if you love the filler, which I don't mind the filler now that I watch it subbed, I feel like the first movie is very necessary. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense where the hell Garlic Jr. comes from. So some of those movies, I feel like in the original Z movies, they're very necessary, but some of them aren't. I thought the first Cooler movie was great. The first Broly movie was pretty good. I enjoyed Fusion Reborn. I enjoy the Wrath of the Dragon. But in terms of quality, I'd have to put this in my top 3. Battle of Gods would be in the top 3. Broly would be in the top 3. And if I had to pick one from the 13, sorry, what was it? Yeah, 13 I've completely lost track here. There's 13 Z movies.
There's 13 Z movies,
yeah.
2 TV specials, but those don't count. Then you have Path to Power and the 3 Dragon Ball movies.
Yeah. So long since I've spoken about some of this, so my brain's just gone.
No, I know they're classics, bro. They're from back in the day. Yeah.
Out of the 13 Z movies, though, I'd probably have to pick.
Do you think? But I'm saying, do you think Broly's better than all of them?
I don't think it's hard to say. Look, I have to put out of the original 13, I'd have to put and Black and Fist Juan, he'll love me for saying this. I have to put Wrath of the Dragon probably in the top 3. So
really?
Yeah, I would have to go Broly trumps all 3 of those not based on one single category, but for the 3 I've spoken about, action, story, comedy, it wins. But in terms of just story, and I know I'm kind of fence sitting a little bit here, Battle of Gods beats Broly. But overall package, Broly is my favorite movie, yes, for the overall experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was great because, like I said, I went out to L.A. and I saw it with the cast and a bunch of other people, like, you know, a bunch of people were there. Barack Obama was there, Rhyme Style. I went with Misty BZ Babe, with MJ, Kendamu, Jax Blade was there. It was a very emotional weekend because, you know, I was on the red carpet. I walked the red carpet with the stars. You know, they introduced me, and I did an interview for Funimation's streaming service at the time. I felt like a star, and watching the movie felt so good. They gave us free popcorn and free drinks, and I'll never forget that weekend as long as I live because it was just so amazing. That Chinese theater, man, it's not even that big, like on the inside, but it's very beautiful, very clean, and I met a bunch of fans there, like Dragon Ball fans, and you know, it was a blast, man. And then seeing it in theaters again, I saw that movie like 10 times, and I didn't even pay for it. Like, obviously the premiere I got invited to, but then I also got a screener from Funimation. Back then, they let me borrow a screener to watch it again. Then I had somebody else pay for it when I went to go see it again. So I actually never paid for that movie. And also somebody bought it for me as a gift on Blu-ray. So I have never paid a penny into that movie. And I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but I just haven't. And it's not because I'm pirating it, because I'm not. People are giving me the movie, literally giving it to me as gifts. So, you know, but I certainly would have, because it definitely was the best experience theatrically. It was one of the most fun. And that thing about that movie is watching it with a crowd of fans. I don't care if you're dub or sub, bro. It's awesome. When Vegeta goes God, you know that scene where Vegeta goes God and the fire goes around him? Dude, everybody was clapping. And then when Gogeta busted out the Stardust Breaker, bro, everybody was going nuts. In every showing I went to, bro, because they were, dude, I love watching it with fans who know the series, you know?
I booked out half a row of my row of seats that I purchased. I did it all in advance, and then my friends paid me back on the night. And yeah, we all had a blast. The cinema was packed. You know, in Australia here, the cinema was packed. There was not a spare seat in the house, not one. And then I went and saw it a second time the next night with another group of friends. Again, there was about 4 or 5 of us. And the same experience at a completely different location, completely different movie cinema. The place was packed. There wasn't a spare seat in the house. So that goes to show the power of Dragon Ball all these years later. And the 2 scenes that people pop for the most were probably, or 3 actually. Vegeta with his red hair. Vegeta when he had green hair prior to that, people were like, what the hell? And then
it was a Goku weird scene, yeah.
Yeah, and Goku when he temporarily looked like he went into Ultra Instinct, that also made the fans go crazy. So yeah, it was a really really great couple of evenings that I went and saw the movie in cinemas. You never forget those nights. It was, you know, Resurrection of Earth, like I said, wasn't a fantastic movie overall. It was just a great action movie, but I got very similar feelings from Broly going and seeing it in cinemas. You're just in a location with a group of like-minded people enjoying a great piece of entertainment, and it was fantastic because you all love the series so dearly. So it was great to watch. And yeah, I mean, people were walking through the cinemas wearing Goku t-shirts with the symbols on them. People were wearing Vegeta, like the armor t-shirts. There was a couple of people dressed up as Frieza. It was just a great
and it was a good dub too. Like the script, there's only about 2 or so script changes, which I already discussed with them about in the movie, and the rest of it was fine. It was a very effective dub. Like, I've seen the movie dubbed more than I've seen it subbed, mostly because of, you know, showings and whatnot, and not because of personal preference, but it's just one of those things where that's how it turned out. and I don't mind at all. Like if Vic Mignogna did the best he could as Broly, he, you know, and then you have Ben Shimada in the Japanese version, you know, screaming his ass off. And you know, you've got the classic cast on both sides. So there wasn't that many characters because, you know, the side characters weren't in this movie, but it wasn't. It would have taken away from the story, which is Goku, Vegeta, Broly. They started on Planet Vegeta together. That's their origin, and this is where they wound up on Earth having a battle. I actually really like that. It's like poetic. You know what I mean? It really is like it's bookended. I like that. You know?
Yeah, I can't say that the movie was disappointing in many ways. I really definitely an improvement on the previous movie and the one before that for me overall. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it, and I am often very critical of Dragon Ball, even though it is Goku's show because it's his origin story. In a way, I'm very critical of predictable storytelling. Like I didn't like at the Tournament of Power. I knew he was going to be the one to kind of take down Jiren. I know in the end it was him and Frieza, but I knew he was going to be the one to take down Jiren, and I knew that the universes were going to get wished.
You've been waiting to talk about this for like a year and a half.
I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm very critical of predictable storytelling, which leads to my point about Broly. I didn't feel like the movie in many ways was predictable because I avoided a lot of spoilers for the movie. I didn't know that Gogeta was going to not kill Broly. I thought he would surely kill Broly. I didn't know that Gogeta would even win.
You
because
really avoided the spoilers, man.
Yeah. I had a feeling that Gogeta would actually lose to Broly, and then it would come down to Goku getting into Ultra Instinct.
Right.
Broly. Well, yeah, it wasn't predictable to me, and that's what I enjoy. Like, it doesn't mean that Goku doesn't have to win, but it just needs to be in an unpredictable way, you know? So the fact that they did it together, great. You know, I would have preferred in the Tournament of Power if Goku and Vegeta took Jiren out together instead of Frieza and Goku. It didn't make much sense to me because Frieza.
Well, it was supposed to be the tribute. It was a tribute to the Frieza saga. That's what it was.
It was great, but at the same time, Frieza and 17 are so far out of Goku and Vegeta's league in terms of power by that stage.
Right.
It just didn't make sense. So predictable storytelling for me is not always good. Some people say predictable storytelling doesn't mean it's bad. To me, it does, because if you don't execute the scene properly, it's just bad.
I think it depends, is the way I see it, on what kind of story you're telling.
Overall, the movie just wasn't predictable to me, and that's why I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for coming back one more time here. Christmas Talk Dragon Ball, bro. Is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here? It's been a year since Broly, and we talked about it again, and
I wouldn't say plug. I'll just take the opportunity to correct. You know, a lot of people might know about the fact that someone has a fake account, and
yes, let's talk about that. There is a fake. There is a fake Super Jaiyan account. We're gonna leave a link. I wish I would have talked about that at the beginning of the video, dude. But whatever. We're gonna leave a link down below to the real Super Jaiyan account, and I'm gonna actually make a pin. I'm probably gonna make a pin comment. Make sure you remind me of that, because yeah, that fake Super Jaiyan is not you. There's people who thought that we had drama or something like that when we've never we've never had an issue. I've known you for 5 years and we've never had an issue.
I think the only time we had an issue was when you told me who the voice actor for Vados was going to be in the English dub, and I accidentally tagged Caitlin Glass in a tweet on Twitter.
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, you were like, dude, you have to take that down.
That's right. You publicly revealed the inside information, but yeah.
Yeah. But apart from that, Danny and I have never had a single issue. Really.
I wasn't really an issue. I just told you to take it down because I didn't want.
But we disagree on stuff, but we've never had like a full-on argument. So yeah, anyone on YouTube who goes around making fake, because like I made a lot of enemies back in the day because I was kind of a dick, and I acknowledge that publicly. You know, I was a bit of a dick, but I made a lot of enemies back in the day, so therefore people probably want to, I don't know.
Yeah, but that fake Super Jaiyan, I don't even know who that fake Super Jaiyan is, bro. But it's not you.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's based in Australia, based on the little research that I've done. It's another Australian person. Don't know the person from a bar of soap.
Doesn't matter, bro. We're gonna leave a link to the real Super Jaiyan down below. Yeah, it's a fake. There's always fake accounts everywhere. When it comes to me, I have a check mark next to my name on YouTube. So if you don't see that check mark, it's not me at all for the Geekdom 101 channel. You have to hit 100K to get that. For Jay, unfortunately, it's not the case. But I will leave a link to the real Super Jaiyan channel down below. There's not much content on there, but it just shows you who the real guy is, and you never know. Maybe one day you will come back. I mean, never say never, bro.
No, that's right. I've got one video on my channel that I did that I mentioned about after the Tournament of Power. I do feel like, though, YouTube is something I don't have a lot of time for, but yeah, the other thing I think you can do on YouTube to know if it's the real account, not that it really matters at this stage because we've said it publicly, but I think it says on the YouTube pages member since, and it tells you the year they've been a member of YouTube since. So I've been a member of YouTube for a long time. So
even on your new account?
Well, this new account is the same account. I just deactivated and took down all my videos. So
oh, it's the same account.
It's my account where the one you're linking to in this video is still the original Super Jam.
I never knew that. I thought you just deleted the whole thing.
No, I just removed all my videos, and I actually have a fair bit of content backed up in the cloud, so I could re-upload stuff. I just choose not to because honestly, I don't have a passion and a drive to do YouTube on a full-time basis. Maybe as a hobby in the future.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you have a passion. You should still upload it so that's there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to see me create more content, then leave a comment down below. If anyone wants to just see me talk about Dragon Ball or talk about anything like
Final Fantasy VII remake is coming, bro.
I love Final Fantasy. I love action movies, sci-fi movies.
You like Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yu Yu Hakusho, yeah. So if
Terminator, but not the new one.
Terminator, yeah, Terminator. Any video games as well. So if anyone ever wants to talk to me in the comment section on that video that I've got, or leave a comment down below, feel free, and I'll take it into consideration to make maybe like a podcast. I'm not going to do any serious edited videos, but if you ever want to hear my thoughts on something, just let me know.
Thank you, bro, and thanks everybody for listening. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate anything, Happy December 25th, and love you guys as always. And I hope we entertained you today while you're playing your new video games and, you know, whatever you might be doing today, playing your new games or hanging out with family, or maybe you're bored at home. Hopefully this helped you out. But thanks again, Jay, bro.
That's all right. Hopefully everyone got some good presents. I know I did. So, yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. We'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one.